In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a class and then create instances of that class, which is essentially creating objects from that class template. So I've made a project called Basic Classes 1. I'm going to right click, I'm going to add a new file. For now, I'm going to start by adding empty Java files, but shortly we'll start using a Java class file, because as we learn the different components of a class, this Java class file will help speed things up. But for now, we're going to start with an empty Java file. So I'm going to make a fraction class, and this will allow me to create a fraction object, and a fraction has a numerator and a denominator. This is the same as we were doing in our last class. So I hit finish. So I have this fraction class, so it says class fraction. I'll open up, and then there's going to be no main method in here, and right now we're going to have no methods at all. All we're going to do is put in two fields. We're going to make a field called numerator and a field called denominator, or DEN. So we can put a comment at the end. This field stores the numerator. This field stores the denominator. Now, it's important to note that I did not initialize these to any values. We can, but with classes we tend not to do that with fields, because each object is going to have a different value for numerator and denominator. So now that I've created this class file, I'm going to build it. I can't run it because of the fact that there's no main method. So now we're going to make another file, and it's going to be called fraction demo. So we'll make some instances of the class in this fraction demo. So we say class fraction demo, and I want public static void main string args. Okay, so now that I have this main method, I want to make an instance of this class. So last year you learned what primitive variables were, so we could declare an integer by saying int x. So that creates an integer called x. Or we could say int age creates an integer called age. I can say string name creates a string called name. Similarly, if I wanted to create an array of integers, I'd say int with the brackets, ages, let's call it, equals. And now what I have to say is new int, and then the size of that array. If we think of how we declare an array, we declare an object in the same way. So what I'm going to do is, well, I want to make a fraction object, so it's called fraction. So I'm going to create a fraction object, and I'm going to call it f. Now, this declares the fraction, but then I need to actually tell the computer to create it. It kind of saves the space, but now we want to create information in the space. So I say new fraction, and I put two brackets around the end. So when we want to make an instance of our fraction object, we say fraction f equals new fraction. This is called the constructor, and we'll be learning about this either today's class or the next class, and we'll see why we need that. So then I can make another fraction. I can say fraction f1 equals new fraction. So what this program now does is creates two fractions, one fraction called f and one fraction called f1. Sorry, it creates two fraction objects, one fraction called f and the other one called f1. In the next video, we're going to look at how we actually now manipulate those two objects.